Greetings to you, oh delicious one. We've missed you. Welcome to this, which is a new thing from us, the EdibleSpirit New Moon transmission. We're doing this to give you like a little cheat sheet for this lunar cycle that's coming up, and we're gathering today to do it for the new moon in Virgo, which is happening exactly on Monday, September 6th at 8:51 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can do the math for that. So we're going to talk to you just about some of the energies that are on offer, that are sort of streaming through this universe. And we're also going to try to give you some tips on how to ingest and align with these delicious frequencies as represented by the various astrological alignments that are happening now during the new moon. Remembering that the new moon is when the sun and the moon are conjunct one another, so in the same degree of the 360-degree circle of the zodiac, and they're in the same sign as opposed to the full moon where the moon is in the opposite sign of the sun. So sun's in Virgo, moon's in Virgo, also known as a dark moon, traditionally thought of as a time to set patterns, because whatever big blasts of energy were flowing in through the full moon have now petered off, and there's this moment of pause where we're in new territory. It's a new month, it's a new sign, and we get to sort of pause and pay attention to the inner world and the outer world, just take the temp of what's going on, and then decide what we want to align with and what we don't want to align with. And like we said, that's what we're here to bring you today. So just starting with the new moon first, Virgo New Moon is typically very earthy because it's an earth sign, a mutable earth sign, the last sign before we go to a new season. It's very practical, pragmatic. It's pays a lot of attention to routines, to schedule, to things that you do every day. Food, but not, in the indulgence and enjoyment way, but food is fuel, right? So, headache, if you have a headache and you drink too much coffee every day, Virgo season, great time to cut that out or cut back. We'll talk more about that stuff later. But it's very much associated with the earth and the earth element and the root chakra. Virgo has connections to grain goddesses, Ceres, or goddesses of agriculture, right? Very much connected to Virgo and the goddess in general, right? Because it's the sign of the virgin or the priestess, right? The priestess, or the temple priestess, who's typically celibate or virginal because she doesn't need dick, because she's serving the goddess impeccably. And it's not as much about what she needs as it is what she chooses to use, how she chooses to use her resource in order to tend the sacred flame of the goddess in the temple. Okay, so all connected to Virgo stuff. It's also connected to things as they are, not as they feel. So you have to deal with things, tangibility, practicality, earth. And there's questions about working with what is manifested, and how you want to repurpose or reuse or reorganize or refine it. And it's also about creating beautiful, beautiful systems out of these resources in order to make changes or manifest outcomes, right? That are improvements. And as we said, that's the sort of perfectionist, refining aspect of Virgo. Just wants to make things better. But if things are good enough, that's not a very helpful, critical thing. But if things are good enough and we want to make them even better, right? And we're not in that critical space, then we can really get into that deeper discernment of what's useful here, what's not useful here, what am I in alignment with, or what's in alignment with me and my highest purpose or my highest intentions, and just fucking what's not. Right? Okay. So as such, Virgo moons are neither really emotional nor very transformative, like quickly. They're more practical and methodical, and they support practical and methodical transformations. Sort of getting your ducks in a row and getting all the elements into the best sort of routine that you can come up with, or that you can devise, or that you can sort of create and grapple with, like structure. And And then, you just do it over and over and over again at its best. Virgo doesn't get overwhelmed by what we call the shampoo cycle, which is like lather, rinse, repeat, do it again, do it again, do it again. Because every time you do it, you learn something, and what we're saying here is like, it's not emotional. It's not about, oh, I'm so tired. That's where we've been. I'm so tired. I can't do this. How am I going to go on? It's actually just like, oh, I'm experiencing exhaustion or physical exhaustion or emotional whatever or mental tension or agita. So objectively, practically, what needs to change in my physical patterning in order to refine that outcome and make it better and get a little more of what I want and let go of a little more of what I don't fucking want, right? It's because these structures set us up to run and continue refining. Continue refining, because every time we go through without emotion, we can really just objectively decide what's in alignment, what's not in alignment. This new moon also happens to be trine Uranus and Taurus, okay? Trines bring us support. So this is a new moon in Virgo, Earth, trining Uranus and Taurus, also Earth. Uranus is a very explosive planet, and in Taurus, it fucks with things, it blows shit up, it causes issues. Have you been feeling any Uranus and Taurus in your life? Uranus and Taurus is highly transformative. It's like a spiritual, catharsis, transformative kundalini bomb going off in the middle of the densest form of matter. So it's like Uranus and Taurus changes things that seem fixed and stable, right? That seem like they're not going to change. Sometimes a big explosive energy needs to come along and change things. We also talked about it in terms of like Uranus and Taurus as Taurus representing money and Venus, and Uranus coming along to blow up the structures around money that have calcified. Have you seen or witnessed any of that lately? Okay, so it's big dramatic changes over long periods of time. But then when we get the new moon, there's kind of like nothing more intimate than a new moon. Personally, it's a very subjective moment because you don't feel the force of the sun, right? It's dark, it's quiet. You don't feel the charge of the moon, but they're both there, but they're kind of canceling each other out. Or are they existing in a dynamic potential so that they can build up energy and take our intentions and just, right, flow them out into the world. We can manifest anything or intend anything at any time, but the reason why we talk about these different frequencies is like, don't fuck with other frequencies. If anything we're talking about here this month gives you a sense of like, yes, I want to work on that. Yes, I want to run with that. Just pick that and work. I and so many people that I know over the years of spiritual practice and study, like run too many programs at once, do too many manifestations and too many readings. And then it's like, it just gets very, very, very messy. Perfect time for Virgo New Moon to be like, all right, what am I working with? What am I manifesting? What is no longer in alignment? What is in alignment? But what's cool about this is that new moon is making the more collective long-term changes of Uranus and Taurus much more immediate in ourselves. The trine makes it easy to see and sense what has changed in our life, whether we like it or not, right? Uranus and Taurus. And then that knowledge of what's changed in our life can get infused into our new moon intentions. So, it's like, look and see what things have changed, and then set some intentions about your new moon in Virgo. We're also dealing with Mars in Virgo. And so this is another immediate planet, Mars in Virgo. Mars is the planet of drive and desire and action and change and sex and sexuality and hunger and fighting and anger and all that stuff. Just that forward surging, go get 'em kind of energy. Mars in Virgo can get a little frustrated, it can get a little hot under the collar, a little compacted, because it's like this big fiery energy wanting to go forward, but hitting a wall of implications and purpose and like integration. Like, I want to do this, right? Really good raw Mars energy. In Virgo, the goddess is like, are you sure, honey? Are you sure, sweetie, that's what you want to do? Like, is that the right thing to do? How does it fit into the big picture? How does it fit into the small picture? So Virgo can get so obsessed with details that it can sort of, for lack of a better word, maybe it's a perfect word for it, Virgo can sort of neuter the forward surging penetrative energy of Mars, literally with like a goddess wall cock block, being like, stop and think about what you're about to blow up, baby. What are you going to blow up here? Okay. Pluto in Capricorn, which is where this trine is. Remembering a trine is like a very easy natural flow of energy between these two things. Pluto in Capricorn is another very long story. And Pluto in Capricorn, it's a slow-moving, transit, and it represents the death and rebirth, hopefully. I mean, because it's Pluto, it will be reborn. But the death and rebirth of our societal structures. Capricorn, daddy, grandpa, government, Senate, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, even Andrew Cuomo, right? Like, oh, daddy, we thought you were helping us beat COVID, but you were really just preying on girls. So great example of Pluto and Capricorn stuff, but even more importantly than Cuomo, just the bigger picture of, the January 6th insurrection and, just the high polarization political climate that we're in, eroding the concept of American democracy and like the sanctity of it. Very Pluto and Capricorn. Ugh. So in this case, the Mars in Virgo is asking you, what are you going to do to meet the changes in the world wrought by the death of our societal structures? What are you going to do? What are you hungry to do relative to what's been falling apart in society? So simple way of doing it, again, if you're feeling this, if you're vibing with this, figure out what in society is making you scared or freaked out. What's dying in society? And ask yourself, how can I use my energy, Mars, in service, Virgo, to support these societal changes? And then what's really cool is this is a great example of the trine. When you use your energy to support these big Pluto and Capricorn, societal changes, it's interesting because that Pluto and Capricorn, the end of society, the decimation of all these structures, was actually the catalyst that got you to apply your energy in service of those changes. So do you see how the one supports the other? It's like, what's first, the chicken or the egg? Did you try to do what you can to contribute your energy to serving society because society is falling apart, or is society falling apart in order to get you to contribute your energy to it in service of it? See? So final alignment for this month is Venus in Libra, trine Jupiter in Aquarius. This brings in a lot of air, right? Compared to the Earth that we were dealing with in the first two alignments that we're talking about. It's another trine though. So it's Venus in Libra, trine Jupiter in Aquarius. Air is the opposite of Earth, mind versus things, right? Thoughts versus things. And air and thoughts can help to separate us or distance us or detach from or, just find some objectivity in the face of the sort of crippling tangibility of earthiness. When something is what it is and you believe what it is, you believe in its thingness, right? In the thing, right? That's there, and that's how it is, and that's how it always was, and that's how it always will be. You need the mind to back up and go, really? Does it have to stay that way? Or have impossible changes only come about in history because people dared to dream bigger or see a bigger picture or face a problem as opposed to running from the problem, right? Back up big enough to see the whole problem as opposed to just how this problem is affecting me. Venus in Libra has flavors of diplomacy to it. Great example of Venus in Libra. What are we going to do? Or what are the implications? What is the treaty that we're going to draw up, Venus, in the name of peace, in the name of harmony, in the name of justice, in the name of balance, fairness, right? But also, Venus is, you can take it the other way, Venus gives form to ideals, to the law, right? Libra represents the law. Venus materializes these ideals, right? Just a beautiful idea. It manifests these ideals, right? So, and they exist in symbiosis with each other. And then, so Venus in Libra, this sort of tangible manifestation of balance, of divine ideals. So this month, we're reading this as Venus in Libra actually attracting resources to you in order to help you manifest greater balance in your life. Okay, how do you know what balance is? Well, the Virgo New Moon is going to help you activate, and create patterns that help you to approach this kind of balance. But Virgo is about ongoing refinement. So you might have to trial and error, try it a couple different ways, or like we said, shampoo cycle, lather, rinse, repeat. But the idea here is that Venus is giving tangible form to an idea, right? To just the concept of peace, of fairness, of balance, of justice in your life. And Jupiter in Aquarius is trying to expand your mind, right, beyond your individual path into the collective, into the shared path, right? Just what's happening to me, what's going on in my life, versus what path are we all on? What's happening to all of us? What's the relationship between my path and our path, right? Jupiter in Aquarius can give us a really cool, expansive, top-down view. I like to use the analogy of like almost like a GPS, right? And you're following your little road, but Jupiter in Aquarius helps you to zoom out and see all the other connections, and like you see the other wazers on the path, and you see maybe, I don't know who has this on their phone, but if like you had your contacts and the various people that you knew and their locations. So Jupiter in Aquarius has that kind of digital, expansive, inclusive energy of like, whoa, look at how connected we are. Whoa, right? So backing up like this allows you to see your part in the whole more clearly. And the way we're reading this trine between these two dynamics, Jupiter and Venus, is then asking you, okay, so you've seen the big picture. How are you going to use your resources? What have you seen? What's the difference between your little path and the big path? Venus in Libra is saying, what do I have available in order to find balance and harmony and create more beauty in my life? And Jupiter in Aquarius is like, what have I learned about my relationship to others? What have I learned about my relationship to society? What needs to change in the way that I interact with society, with people, with the world? A lot of people making big changes relative to how they interface with society. No? And then based on what I understand about the relationship between myself and society and the collective, what resources do I have or need in order to cultivate balance? Okay, so based on what I've learned about how I feel about everybody else or society or the world or, our connections, what is balance? And what do I have available to me in order to create new patterns and new systems that will contribute to that balance, both in my life and in the world at large? Interesting, huh? So I hope you like this format. We went a little longer than we intended to, but we haven't done this with you yet. So we'll see. We run. The spirit runs and just starts speaking, and we're really here for you. We're excited to be bringing all of this back. So check out the other stuff. There's symbols associated with this, sounds that we have associated with this, really good colors this month. Yeah, we're including textures, flavors. In terms of recipes for this month, we would say it's like, if something's been bugging you in your diet or in your tummy, or if you've been doing that same thing, you've been drinking too much or smoking too much or whatever it is, now is a great time to recognize that pattern. Ask yourself, is this pattern in alignment, or to what degree of alignment is this pattern in? And then maybe adjust it, pull something back. But P.S., if you are in crisis and you don't have time to do a fucking manifestation, please just watch your breath, listen to your breath, take some time to reset your nervous system and be where you are, be present, because that's really why we offer these lunar moments to you guys, is because the moon keeps us synchronized with something, as opposed to the desynchronization that comes from like looking at your screen in the middle of the night and not being able to sleep. That happened to me a few nights ago. You know, just our rhythms are so jacked up. So even though I know this can get kind of heady and esoteric sometimes, these frequencies are available. And if you hear your heart singing because something we've talked about today slaps with you, take it, run with it, cultivate it, nurture that in you, set some intentions, work with those intentions. Don't be too hard on yourself. Do treasure yourself and know that like spiritual work's not woo-woo. It's both about the self and about the all. It's about the individual and the collective. If you know, one of us is unwell, none of us are well. If one of us is well, that wellness can radiate out, right? Like a lamp being lit. So, but that's not about living your best life. That's not about being perfect. What it really means is being present. Really means being present and able to respond with love and awareness and inclusivity and reason. Like we said, Virgo, it's all about discernment. Does this smell like bullshit or does this smell like salvation? You know, Virgo will tell you, because it's that part of you that knows what the goddess would like, that knows what's divine and what's earthly. And Taurus and Venus teach us that even the earth is divine. Even the densest piece of Taurian matter, there is Venus, there's the goddess, there's energy, there's Shakti, right? Thank you for joining. If you like this and you want to book a private session, we are offering private sessions. We book them on Thursdays and Saturdays. If you have a group of 3 or more and you want to do a group reading, reach out through the website, EdibleSpirit.com. We have links on Instagram at EdibleSpirit. If you're watching this and you haven't joined the mailing list, please visit EdibleSpirit.com, join our mailing list. That's how you're going to get updates on events, on workshops, and on sessions. Workshops coming up in October. We're going to be doing aura reading for self-care and social justice. This is our introductory, we call it more so foundational because it's not introductory, it's very thorough. But if you have an awareness of chakras, of energy, of the aura, of your clairs, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and maybe you were wanting to develop these gifts more, we set the intention to teach you how to read your aura and others for the purpose of healing and illumination. So it's a really fun class because we teach it in the context of self-care and social justice. How are you using aura reading to support your own practice? And how are you using aura reading to support the well-being, the peace, freedom, and happiness, the self-actualization of all beings everywhere without exception in the world, especially those who are underserved, oppressed, or being fucked with in somehow. Aura reading, it sounds nuts, but aura reading does help because it's there and it's trying to show us something. We'll have another one of these out for you next month for the new moon. And in the meantime, yeah, like we said, if you want to have a private session, reach out, let us know. And if you want to do a group session, we do group channeled readings and aura picks. Reach out, let us know. We are here for you. We love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are so very